Well, hello and welcome to the Compared To podcast. I'm Heather Creekmore, and today I am with my good friend, Erin Kerry. Erin is an integrative nutrition coach, and I asked her to be on the show today because, well, a couple reasons. Reason one, I have been at home with just my family for over a month now. So I needed someone to talk to. Erin, are you in the same boat?
Yep, exactly.
and I thought, so Erin does a lot of work on mental health. Erin and I both have dieter backgrounds. And so I know we've both been processing this, like, how do you do this shelter at home thing without succumbing to the pressure of I've got to meet all my #quarantine goals and I've got to get skinny before we can go out in the real world again.
Summer is coming. Yeah.
Yes. I saw a meme yesterday, and we'll get into this, but I saw a meme yesterday and it was like, I really need to know if we're going to get out of this by summer or fall. Because if it's summer, then I need to get skinny. And if it's fall, I'm not going to worry about it.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, I can kind of relate to that, right? So Erin, thank you for being on the show today.
Yeah, this is fun.
Well, where I thought we would start is just, how are you? Like, what has surprised you most about this time now? I think I'm on day 34 here of being home with the fam. You're about the same, I think. So what has surprised you the most?
I think what surprised me the most is how it wasn't that bad at the beginning. You know, my husband, and I say that knowing how fortunate we are, and that my husband was able to work from home, and I am able to work from home, and so that's been great. So at the beginning, it was kind of like this fun little thing we were doing as a family, like, oh, Daddy's home all day, and also Mommy, and also everybody. We couldn't go to our homeschool co-op anymore. We couldn't go. We had some field trips planned. You know, we had some downers, like my 6-year-old thinks he's LeBron James. He really does. And he's not even 4 feet tall. And he's like the size of a 4-year-old, and he's 6, but he thinks he's LeBron James. And his basketball season was suspended, delayed. And now I'm pretty sure it's just not going to happen. And so I think a month in is when 2 days ago, I hit kind of a breaking point where it was like, I just feel blah. Like, I don't want to do anything. I have a lot of things that I love to do and I enjoy, and we've had fun making this work. But at this point now I'm going, okay, I'm kind of over it, and finding motivation is a little bit harder now. It just feels like, oh, it's Groundhog Day. Here we are again. So I go back and forth. I've had all the emotions. I think all of us have. I've had to do a lot of grieving, but I've mostly just been angry. That's the only consistent stage of grief that I've stayed at. Yeah. So what about you? How about for your family?
You know, it's funny. So, and I'll just put this out there, I guess, just to clarify for anyone listening that doesn't know you and I, but we both started off, we were homeschool moms before this. And so at first for me, it was like, oh, you know, hey, this is normal. Just like you said, my husband's a pastor, and he worked at the church for an additional like 7 to 10 days until they absolutely shut everything down here in Austin and said he had to come home. And so it felt very normal to us for a few weeks. But it's just been the last week or so where I've started to grieve. I think before that, I was seeing posts of friends on Facebook, and they're like, this is so hard. I can't, you know, oh, I'm just so sad. I'm grieving. And I was like, what? Like, this is great. But then it hit me, and it became very real to me. And you hear this said that, like, we all grieve differently. And, you know, depending on personality and I guess life experience and all the things, right? And so for me, it was a big slap in the face, like, oh, duh, Heather, yeah, you do not grieve right away. Like, my way to handle stress is adrenaline comes rushing, and I'm going to power through it. But I only have enough power for like 2-3 weeks. And so I hit the end, and I'm like, I got nothing left. So grieving has hit me, and just, you know, the Groundhog Day, that was a perfect way to summarize it. That's what I've been saying. But also just, it's strange to me how I am having such a difficult time keeping track of the day and the time.
Oh yeah. It's
like
ridiculous.
It's weird. Yeah. I mean, I'm like, okay, you know, it's right there. Like, it's on my watch, it's on my screen. And yet still, like, my kid was 10 minutes late for his Zoom kickboxing class this morning because I couldn't keep track of it. So it is crazy what it does to you. And so, like, help me, because you are an expert more on depression and mental illnesses.
Mhm.
Like, I don't think depression is something that I regularly struggle with, although I have in my
Mm.
life, but it's been very palpable the last
Yeah.
week. Like, you know what? I don't want to get out of bed in the morning. I don't want to do it
Mhm.
again. And so I feel that depression. And so I know anyone for whom this is a regular struggle has to be feeling it even more. So what have you found? What have you noticed? What are you hearing on that front?
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up because intense times of change or stress, especially for people who are diagnosed with a mental illness, this can be a really, really triggering time. I know for me, when I was engaged to my husband, our time of engagement triggered a major breakdown for me.
Mhm.
Not because it was a bad change or it was horrible. It wasn't a pandemic, it wasn't, but it was a change. And change
Mhm.
is hard for me. It's hard for my brain to wrap around it. Getting off my routine is really hard. And I don't think I share this. My diagnosis 20 years ago was bipolar disorder. And so staying consistent in routine is really important for that. But it's true for depression, for anxiety, any kind of an intense change is going to throw people off. But I think what you mentioned is true too. I think that there's situational depression. There's
Mhm.
clinical depression. There's clinical diagnoses, whatever you say, for mental disorders that it's physical, right? Like we know now, we have enough evidence to know that it's a real issue, right? This is not
Mhm.
just all in your head. But there's situational depression and there's situational anxiety. Like I know so many people who always sleep great and they're struggling with insomnia out of nowhere. My
Mhm.
husband last night, now he will do this every once in a while, depending on how stressed he is. He was up, I think, for 3 hours last night in the middle of the night because he couldn't go to sleep.
Yeah.
And it's like, it is really throwing off even the most sane of people.
Mhm.
And I think it's important to acknowledge that that's normal and it's okay. And we're all doing it. And in a way, it should make us feel better to know that we're all in this together,
Yes.
and it's hard for all of us. But just for mental illness in general, anytime that there's a big change, anytime there's a big stressor, it's going to throw things off.
Mhm.
And my biggest thing is my routine, managing circadian rhythm through sleep and wake patterns is really
Mhm.
important. I have a few things that I have just come to rely on to get me through this time. And I think the people who are most at risk are the people who just skate by in life and
Mhm.
just go with the flow. And when things happen, they redirect. And right now there's no redirecting.
Yeah.
We are stuck in Groundhog Day. We're stuck in this black hole of who knows what right now, of
Mhm.
lots of uncertainty. And so it's hard to just, oh, I'm going to get through it, I'm going to redirect. No, it's really throwing off patterns for people. So yeah, it's a big concern.
Yeah. So my biggest struggle, I think, has been the food thing.
Uh-huh.
Now, yes,
So many people are talking about that
there's the
too.
whole like
Yep.
diet issue, like all that stuff, and I want to talk
Mm-hmm.
about that later.
Mm-hmm.
But and I've been researching personally because I was doing some other work and researching like the effects of the Great Depression and food shortages, like in
Mm.
World War II, and the effect that that had on families. And I haven't found a whole lot, to be honest,
Hmm.
but I was thinking about how you've probably heard this too. Like if your grandparents were Depression era, that they had certain patterns and your parents picked that up from them, right? So like,
Mm-hmm.
if they were hoarders in any way, shape, or
Right.
form because of what they experienced in the Depression,
Uh-huh.
like your parents probably picked that up. And I was thinking, what are my kids and grandkids going to pick up
Mm-hmm.
because of the way my tendencies have changed? And I've realized like, man, this whole grocery availability thing. So I've
Mm-hmm.
tried not to go to the store, and
Yeah.
but making that decision has come at a cost
Oh
because I
yeah.
feel like it's 3 or 4 hours of my day sometimes, like
Mm-hmm.
like trying to find, okay, is Instacart available? Is Shipped available through Target? We have a grocery store called HEB down here. Does HEB have a time available? Oh no, you can only get a time after midnight. Like
Yep.
all the things, and then like getting your cart just right. And then I had a cart, and then like a time opened up for like a week later, and I was like, I don't really need groceries then, but I better grab that time. And like
Mm-hmm.
all of that has been crazy making. And then on top of that, like I'll just disclose here, I'm going to do an episode with Eric. I'm going to have my husband on and we're going to talk about some things. So we might get into this. I don't know. but like he's been driving me nuts
Yeah.
with,
Marriage
with,
stuff.
well,
Mm-hmm.
but not like in a general way, but in a food way, because I feel like he doesn't understand that, like, I bought 8 hamburger buns knowing that, like, Eric and I don't eat the hamburger buns, but my kids do. And it's like, so that was 2 meals of hamburgers with 8 buns. And you just used a bun to make a sandwich. And now my whole life is ruined.
Totally.
And so that part has been a huge weight on me. Have you been experiencing it? What surprised you in all this?
Well, my thing is that my kids, they have nothing to do. So they just want to eat all day. Which is fine. I don't care. They're kids. Like, let them eat. I'm not one of those people that's like, well, you could, whatever. Like, I don't have anything to do either. So,
exactly.
so
right behind you in line at the pantry.
I'm like, we can't, what do they go for first? They go for the snacky things that are supposed to last for however long.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll finish them in a day. I'm like, you guys, this is supposed to last longer. It's like you said with the husband, and it's true, but I think that just on the topic of marital communication, that has been really important more than ever too, because it's like all of us, we're having to communicate. Like my daughter, just little things. It's like she's starting to kind of babysit for my niece and nephew because my sister has to still be working, like things like that, but managing time and going, okay, well, when are you waking up? Like everything is so thrown off right now. And the food thing, gosh, I think the biggest part of the food thing for me is that I want to eat all day, but I want to eat what I craved when I was pregnant and breastfeeding. And I don't know if there's a stress connection, but I want carbs. I want carbs all the time because there's a comfort to carbs and there's some kind of a dopamine rush with carbs. But that's been really interesting for me because it was the same thing when I was pregnant, when I was breastfeeding. That's what I wanted. That's kind of what's made me feel, calm or whatever. So it's just very interesting. My cravings are changing. The way I get onto my kids about, you better finish that because we don't know when we're going to have more. I'm like, I shouldn't say things like that. Why am I saying that's not even true? But it's like, that's where my mind goes and I'm putting it out on them. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's been weird.
My middle son, the other day I was in my office and I heard this loud crash and I thought it was toys or something. And then I hear this, Mom, help, quick. And I run in and a jar of spaghetti sauce had fallen and we've got tile floor. And so you can just imagine the disaster that was. But and he actually got his toe was cut because the glass fell on his foot. And his first response is, we can't afford to lose a jar of spaghetti sauce in a pandemic. I was like, it'll be okay. We can get more spaghetti sauce. We can live without spaghetti sauce. But I know that was just a huge red flag. Oh, okay. They're wearing this because they get it.
Yeah, exactly. And they're so perceptive and it's really hard. I keep trying to speak truth into it. Cause my 6-year-old will be like, I know we can't go cause coronavirus. And I always try to speak truth. You know why I'm not afraid of the coronavirus, Roman? I'm not afraid because nothing can separate me from the love of God. And I throw out some, Romans 8 at him or whatever. I keep trying to use the opportunities to speak truth because there's a lot of the time where I am expressing that panic, fear, hysteria to him. And I don't like that part. I don't want my kids to be fearful because they don't have any reason to be fearful right now. There's just not, except my 3-year-old likes to play a game with mailboxes. When we go on walks, he pretends like it's a drive-through fast food restaurant. And so he goes up to a mailbox and he's like, I want some fries with some ranch dressing and some ketchup. That's his thing. Fries with ranch and ketchup. He calls it ranch up. It's real cute. And he'll ask for that. Well, even that, I'm like, should he be touching people's mailboxes? I don't know if they would like that right now. I'm like, we don't touch people's and then I feel like I'm talking crazy when I say that, we don't touch people's mailboxes, right? What? It's so weird, but I don't know. We probably shouldn't, everybody who sees us on the street just walks to the other side. That's awkward anyway, right? Oh, it's so strange. And then going to the store, when I do have to go to the store, last week, I didn't have a choice. I brought my 6-year-old. I was like, it was the first time he'd been out. I said, I don't want you to be scared because there are going to be people wearing masks and I don't want that to scare you. I had to warn him because you know what? That scares me. It makes me feel like I'm in this post-apocalyptic Hunger Games type, don't breathe in the air kind of thing. So there's a lot there. Yeah, for sure.
So did you wear a mask to the store?
should I say this or not? I did not wear a mask to the store. I know.
But
I was going with the WHO guidelines of if you have been exposed, if you are exhibiting symptoms,
uh
wear a mask. If not, you should be fine. So that's what I was going by.
So I have an N95 mask that
Oh,
is
wow.
probably 13 years old. Used it to paint. And I wore it to Sprouts about a month ago.
Nice.
And I thought I was going to die because
Yeah.
I think the new N95 masks are called N95 respirators. And so they actually like
Mm.
let air in some way, but
Mhm.
mine does not have that notch on the front. And I tell you what, it fits tight. And then I'm like hearing in my head, don't touch your face. Don't touch your face. You can't adjust the mask. People that wear masks touch their face more. Don't touch your face. Don't touch
Right.
the
All those
mask.
things. Yeah.
And then I'm in this line that I know is going to take me at least 45 minutes to get through because I'm like
Uh-huh.
in the back of the store. Everyone's spread out. They're 6 feet apart. And I almost started hyperventilating. I mean, it was literally like coaching myself through breathe in, breathe out, think cool thoughts,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
trying to stop myself from having a panic attack because I also had a full cart. So there's no way I was abandoning it. And there was no way I was abandoning my place in line. So I was like, I'm going to
Yeah.
tough this out. But the mask, whew, that made things a little bit more challenging for me in
Yeah,
a
I
way.
bet.
So
Yeah.
I
That
don't
would
know
be
if it
very
helped me or not.
suffocating.
Well, so I did a show a couple weeks ago, a Facebook Live with a friend from a ministry called Finding Balance, which helps women who are recovering from eating disorders.
Mm.
And the one thing that we talked about was the whole quandary, if you will, of hashtag quarantine rest, which is where I think we all
Mhm.
started, right? Like I think when
Mhm.
this thing hit, it was like, oh, praise God, we get a chance to rest. Praise God, we get a
Mhm.
chance to connect with our families. Praise God, all of our calendars are cleared. And then like gradually over the next week or so, it turned into hashtag quarantine goals. And,
Mhm.
like here, have our workout program free for 2 weeks because, you can use this 2 weeks to get the
Mhm.
best body ever. And, all of those things and all of that subtle pressure that has suddenly come in, like, okay, hey, this is stress. This is a time when you genius can like invent the cure for cancer and you genius can write your novel and you can get your
Mhm.
best body ever and all of those things. So what have you been seeing and how have you been handling that pressure? Because I know you feel it too,
Yeah.
don't you?
Oh, for sure. And I think that starting out, well, I will say my word for the year was rest. And so a
That's
few
right.
of my friends blamed me for this whole thing. It's my fault for choosing that word of the year. And now we're all resting. But I go back and forth because I think that again, depending on personalities, some people, they see this as an opportunity to, I'm getting my goals in,
Mhm.
discipline. I'm using this time. And then they look down on the people who are not doing that as lazy. But other people are just in their feelings and they're just
Mhm.
trying to figure this out. And I think that we all need to have greater empathy for everybody. Like you said at the beginning, everybody's experiencing this differently. Everybody's grieving differently. And another thing is that when we're in stress, when we're in fight or flight mode, our prefrontal cortex, that's a part of our brain that shows empathy, that connects with others, that makes good decisions. It goes offline. When
Mhm.
we're in fight or flight, we can't access our prefrontal cortex.
Mhm.
And that really, I think, has shown up in what I've seen on comments on social media and the posts that people are posting. They're just very direct and in your face and just telling you things without actually thinking about how it's going to be taken. And so that's what I've observed. And I've thought, that was just it's been a really interesting observation in human nature during times of stress because we all respond differently. For me, I do love to work out and I love my gym and I haven't gone to my gym and who knows how long. And that's what's really sad for me because I just go
Mhm.
and do whatever. I don't
Mhm.
do anything that's a plan. But my husband and I have been doing a little at-home workout thing together. And it's actually been really fun
Mhm.
because we're doing it together. We can kind of be competitive. If I last a little bit longer on one round than him, I'm like, yeah, I'm so awesome and strong. And so that makes it fun. But I don't know. I think what's hard is that I don't know if many people realize that when we are stressed, and especially in something like a pandemic, especially like in times of famine, our body wants to store weight,
Mhm.
and so we see all of this hashtag quarantine 15, haha, it's funny, but it's our body's way of protecting itself.
Yeah.
We store fat in order to protect us for whatever's about to come, because we don't know when we're going to run out of, I mean, hypothetically, we don't know when we're going to run out of food. We don't know. So people who are going on these extreme diets, we've talked about this before. If you're going on an extreme diet, if you're going on some especially like with crazy exercise, and you're putting your body now into forced stress mode on top of the stress that you're already facing, your body might backfire and end up adding on more weight and end up like really storing fat, because I don't know what's going on in my host is I'm the body talking. I don't know what's going on with my host, but this is not good. Like I need to store fat before she goes out and has no food because she needs to survive. So I don't know. I think, like I said to a friend today, that I try to say, thank you, body. Thank you, body, for protecting me during this time. Thank you, body, for the ancestors who have given me these genes that help me store fat in times of famine. Because if it wasn't for those ancestors who stored fat, I wouldn't be where I am. So it's like trying to reframe that, because when I see those, it's triggering to me. It's triggering seeing the quarantine 15. It's triggering seeing all the plans and the eating stuff and this is not a time to go extreme. This is a time to nourish yourself however you can. And if that means taking a nap, it means taking a nap. If it means working out, work out. I do all of the above because I need to still maintain some kind of routine, some kind of mental health normalcy, so I don't know if I feel like I kind of went off into a tangent.
No, that's good. Well, why don't you say your favorite line? A body that's stressed
will not digest. Yes, exactly.
I mean, I keep thinking that's what runs through my head. I hear your voice saying that line in my head.
And if I'm stressed out about how I look, also like that's really hard. Is everybody's like, oh, what's that one I saw that really made me mad? It was something somebody posted about if you're worried that you're gaining weight, you should try laying around in your bathing suit and not your sweatpants. And I'm like, what? That's just dumb. Like, what are you trying to say? Like, oh, my ability to fit into my bathing suit is what really is going to make me feel better about myself. I don't know. It just goes into that whole, like my head just spins when I hear that. But like even I've been going back, I have to readjust how I'm talking to myself, because in times of stress, that flares up for me. Whatever's happening in my life, if I'm stressed out, I'm going to take it out on my body. That's my go-to. That's the easy way for me to take out my stress. It's against myself. And so, just even looking in the mirror, and I know you talked about this, like stop looking in the mirror so much, like I found myself like sucking in and turning to the side, and like doing all these things that I used to do for forever. My husband walked in on me yesterday. I was sucking in and turning to the side, and I like stopped real fast. Like I was a little kid, got caught, and I was like, I'm just looking at I didn't know what to say because I knew that wasn't a healthy behavior for me that I was engaging in.
Yeah.
But there I was, and I'm doing these other things. I'm really staying grounded in God's word, probably more than I have ever.
That's awesome.
And that's cool. But it doesn't mean that these old things aren't going to flare up and be there in the back. So it's like, oh, it's so hard. It's a weird position to be in. But body and stress will not digest, including if you're stressed out about how you look.
Yeah.
It's not going to digest. Yeah.
Well, that's good. And I mean, I have on makeup right now, obviously. And Erin and I had a little pre-conversation where I was like, okay, I'm going to warn you, I'm putting on makeup, but, but I haven't, I've only put on makeup. I think I had to do a couple other video things in the course of the last month. And so I put on makeup for that. But most days have been no makeup and hair pulled back, and I feel like my hair is doing really weird things. Like I don't even understand why, because I thought maybe it would get healthier with me not like straight ironing it and curling it and all that heat stuff. But instead it's like my hair is like, no, I don't like this. We're just gonna be really frizzy. But I lost my train of thought of where I was gonna go after that. But it's just putting on makeup. And that for me has been a weird thing where it's like, I don't love to look at myself in the mirror when I don't have makeup on. I don't love to look at myself in the mirror ever, but without makeup, like that's really been like, okay, I'm not going to spend too much time there, because then I can start to find like all the things, right?
Because we got time to do it.
Exactly. So it's like, okay, I've had to be real intentional about that. But I do think, like, to your point, we have this extra time, and it's going to take some conscious effort to not make our focus on ourselves, not make our focus on self-improvement. Because I think anyone that has a background like you or me, the natural instinct is, and I think this goes right along with dieting. It's like, I've got a timeline, right? I've got like I got a deadline. I've got like a set period of time. And then almost like an event date, not that we actually like know when we'll get out of this or who we'll be able to see what we'll be able to do when we get out of this. But it's almost like, I don't know, I used to do this for every event, but it's like, oh, vacation coming up, or, that special event, like that's your weight loss deadline. I think it's hard for people who are chronic dieters to not think about it like, okay, I've got like 30 days and then I got this like big event of emerging back to the world. So when I come back to the world, I'm going to be a new me, and fighting that temptation, and then recognizing, like you said, that, hey, I mean, I guess if you're in your 20s, you may be able to do that to some extent. But friend, if you're in your 20s and you're doing that, like take it from these two older women, like that'll catch up with you.
And it will backfire in the long run.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to hurt your thyroid. It's going to hurt your adrenals, and your body will do what it wants to do at some point, whether or not you can get away with commanding it against its will now. But now I lost where I was going with all of that. But just all that to say, like, I just hope that anyone listening today that's felt that kind of pressure will be able to call it out and see it for what it is. That this is not the time to set those kind of goals, to put that kind of pressure on yourself. Like, this is not the time to try to change and transform your body. So like we walk every day. Now I will say that I have been, my son takes kickboxing, like I mentioned. And so his gym put out a 30-day conditioning program. And I honestly think it's way too hard. You go from like 5 of every exercise to 80 of every exercise in 30 days. And it's just 3 exercises a day. Wow. But still, I'm like, I don't know if I can go from 5 to 80 on some of those things. Like, so I'm stretching it out. I think I'm going to stay at like 5 and 10 and those low numbers for a while. But I have been doing that, but and it's 3 exexercises, like I said. So we're talking about a whole 7 minutes of additional exercise every day. Woohoo! But I do feel like I see those ads come through Instagram, and I'm like, ooh, maybe I should buy that. Maybe I should try that. Maybe I should get the 2-week trial. And so that pressure is real, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And I think that's where, something I do with my coaching clients is I like to put together what's a nourishing list and a draining list. What is nourishing you, food, activity, people, and what's draining you with food, activities, and people, because I think that we're all fueled by different things. And right now we have so few nourishing things in the terms of events and people and church activities. And like, how draining is a Sunday morning now, because it's like, well, here I am turning on my app again, or turning on my, like that's just, it's a weird deal. I look forward to it. It's definitely a highlight because it's something different to my regular day. But that can be really draining. And so I think in this case, it's really important maybe for people to do that. Like, what's nourishing me right now? What is nourishing to me that fuels me, that fills me up, that makes me feel good? And what is draining? And if looking at those ads is draining, then now I know I need to spend less time on social media. For some of us, that's really hard to do. Like for me, what's draining is all of the news articles and all of the commentaries and all of everybody has a different opinion, and it drives me crazy. And so I start doing the digging, and then I start spinning, and then I can't go to sleep at night because I'm thinking about how many people are wrong in the world, right? Like, like I think about, oh, well, they don't know, and they don't know. Like I really know, like, don't put me in charge of anything, but I just, that's where I go. And that's really draining. And same thing, like some of these exercise things, I started one exercise set of videos or whatever you want to call it, like a system. And all she talked about the whole time was, you're going to get the body of your dreams and rock hard abs, and you're going to look so good, and make sure that you eat according to the plan. And I had to stop it. because it was putting me like, I know, what she's saying. Oh, no, whatever. But like, I started going, well, wait a minute. There's that little voice, like you said, like, oh, what if I do? What can I look like her? Can my body is not even shaped like hers. You know what I mean? But it just goes there. So I had to turn it off. So making that list of, okay, what is really nourishing me right now? And that is, maybe it's something I really love, and that's a Reese's egg. I love Reese's eggs. And that has been probably the highlight of my shelter in place, because we got them and they were way discounted because I guess nobody's buying them this year. I don't know. And Friday night was my Reese's egg night, like just things like that. Like, there's some things, it's okay to have a Reese's. It's okay to have, like, tonight we're making lasagna. That's not something we normally make. It's a lot
I made that last night.
and I've got people in my family that cheese and the digestion, not great, but we're going to do it because what else do we have to do? So we're just things like that are fun, that in the back of my mind, I'm going, oh, is that going to be healthy for me? Is that going to be healthy for the kids? But like, this is different. We are in a different set of circumstances. And a lot of, we set up these rules for ourselves. And I think that this is a really good time to evaluate how are my rules like really just a privilege and not actually something that's benefiting or hurting my health. I think so many things that we think we set up as guidelines and rules for ourselves, it's really just a privilege that we get to do that. And now so much is taken away. Like, what applies? I don't know.
Well, no, I was just thinking about something that you say in our ReFOCUS training, where you talk about how so many of us have been conditioned with, like, food is not an event, food is not to be enjoyed, like like all of those rules that we learned on some diet somewhere long ago. And I've been like, it's been a mental game in my head where it's like, if I'm able to get like something special in our house is ice cream with cut up strawberries on it. That's like my husband's favorite thing.
How funny.
And like, there's no chocolate involved. So to me, it's not super exciting.
No,
but like
totally.
the kids are like all into it. And so like, I was able to get fresh strawberries. And so then I went ahead and got the ice cream. And so like it was a party, right? Because we hadn't had anything like that for a couple weeks. And I was looking forward to it. And I was like, okay, Friday night, we're going to do strawberries ice cream. This is going to be great. And I had to kind of reel myself like back and then forward and back, like, oh no, I can't be excited about food. Like, I shouldn't be all excited about dessert. And I was like, oh no, like, it's okay. Like, this is a celebration. Like, this is going to be a highlight of our very lame week, and like the kids are looking forward to it. And it's okay as a family to celebrate together around the strawberries and ice cream. And that doesn't mean that I'm necessarily going to go back down the road of, like, I don't know, eating half a carton of ice cream by myself and then having to put water in it in order to not finish it and throwing it away. Like all of those crazy behaviors that are in my past, I don't have to necessarily worry about going there because I'm going to enjoy strawberries and ice cream with my family.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like, our relationships and human connections are way more beneficial to our health than what we eat. Everybody's got a different opinion on food, but if you look at loneliness being as harmful to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day, we're pretty isolated right now. That's so dangerous. So if I can enjoy a good meal with my family, it's always tricky with a 3-year-old because he doesn't like to make mealtime enjoyable. But one night we had a picnic outside on the front lawn and everybody was happy. My 3-year-old who hates dinner ate his dinner, like it was a good, so if we can, it doesn't matter what you're eating really, as long as you're with people that you care about and you're not stressed, your body's going to digest it great, because everybody's got a different set of food that works for them. What works for me is not going to work for you, and I'm not going to digest it well. So if you can find what works for you, what you enjoy, and enjoy the people you're eating it with, wow, that's like probably the best thing we can do right now, is enjoy good meals with good people and have as good of a time as we can considering the circumstances. Those are all very health promoting things.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, like, I think this is a time where instead of, we've got all this extra time, instead of like scrolling through Instagram or doing all the research on what diet worked for her and what diet worked for her and how she lost the weight and what exercise program she did, like, maybe this is a time when you're able to stop and actually listen to your body.
Oh, wouldn't that be amazing?
Like, oh, okay, wheat and I don't get along,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
maybe I can do dairy 3 times a week or, or maybe dairy is not a problem for you at all. Bless you. That's not my, that's not my deal. But I know like I had lasagna last night. I'm okay. Like I can have ice cream once a week and I'm okay. It's just, it varies, but maybe this is a time when instead of looking to someone else's plan or even listening to Erin and I and saying, oh, what do they do? I need to do it like they do.
Right.
No, like you need to do it like you do it. And maybe this is a time to figure out what it is your body's asking you for, what it is your body needs, not what her body needed or how she did it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so true. Wouldn't it be awesome if everybody took this time to be able to learn to listen to our bodies and to throw away like these preconceived notions? And like, there's even a verse in Proverbs. I don't know if I brought it up the last time we talked, but I just think it's so interesting. It says, it's better to eat vegetables with a friend than meat with an enemy. Basically saying you can have the richest, most decadent meal in the world, but if you're eating with an enemy, somebody that you don't like, somebody who stresses you out, like that's not health promoting for you. Like God designed our bodies this way. Like, so I just think that again, going back to what we think about our food makes such an impact on our health. And so many people with digestive issues, maybe they're actually just really stressed about what they're eating. Maybe this would be a good time to evaluate. Am I stressed because I'm eating what I consider, quote, bad, or am I stressed because it really, or am I feeling this response in my body because it really doesn't agree with me? And I know that can be tricky and that can be a hard road, but there are things in my past that I've cut out thinking that, oh, I don't have a good response to that. When really it was like, well, I respond to it fine. Now I will say we ordered, because we've been making meals from home so much, we ordered out a few weeks ago. And we wanted to support a local restaurant. And I don't remember which meal this was because we're doing it once a week. It was a local place that has like chicken and biscuits and kind of more of a Southern cooking. And both Richard and I at the, about an hour after a meal, we were like, oh, I don't feel great. Like I feel real tired. I feel kind of moody. So it was a good opportunity because we had been cooking so much from home to realize that restaurant foods might not make us feel that great. So this is a good time to listen and tap into that. And so what was it that I ate? And I'll know for next time it's going to make me tired. It might make me feel a little, not great digestively or whatever, might bloat me a little bit. And so I think this is an important time to do that for sure. Cause we're cooking so much from home and also to try out new recipes that are fun, make it fun. Cooking can be a lot of fun if you just do it,
Yeah. Oh, hey, I was thinking about something. I think you might have brought it up last time we talked, but you and I have talked about it offline a bunch of times. Your new favorite app. And so, but I've been trying. So I want you to talk about it. But I've been trying to be more aware of it, and it's interesting. I think there's a lot of women that are missing out on paying attention to this. So tell us what it is, Erin.
Yeah. So it's tracking your menstrual cycle. It's called Flow Living, or no, sorry. The app is, I keep saying that the app is called My Flow. I think the website is called Flow Living and the book is called In the Flow. And basically it tracks, and it's so interesting. So many studies on diets and so many studies on even things like intermittent fasting, all these really popular trending things. These studies are done on postmenopausal women and men because there are not as many variables as somebody who has a menstrual cycle and is experiencing 4 different phases every month. And so you have your follicular phase, your ovulatory phase, your luteal phase, and your menstrual phase. Menstrual phase being the time that you are actively bleeding. And so I hope kids aren't listening if you have not had this conversation.
Warning.
Sorry. But starting with your first 2 weeks in your cycle, depending on, the days are different for everybody, but you're going to have the most energy in your follicular, your ovulatory stage. That's when you're going to feel better. You're going to want to do more like high intensity interval training for workouts. You're going to want more fresh, raw foods, like think more, salads and sauerkraut. And I love sauerkraut. Most people are like, bleh, but I'm really German like that. No.
My mom loved it. Like I grew up with the smell of it in my house, but
candle. Yeah. So just fresh, bright foods. And that's where, even, limiting your consumption overall might work for you during those first 2 phases. But once you get into the luteal phase, your body slows down a little bit. Hormones do some shifting, and that's where we get into that. Luteal phase is PMS, right? We don't feel as good. Maybe we're a little cranky. Maybe we're moody. food wise, we actually need to consume more
Mm-hmm.
because we are going to burn more during that phase. But the problem is a lot of people just go overboard or underboard, right? Like I think most women, I will say, probably aren't eating enough, especially during, because like, oh, I can only eat this much. Well, now your body goes into fat storage mode because your body is preparing for the menstrual phase. So, so it's really interesting. And so for workouts, you want to slow it down. And during menstrual phase, you want to rest, like legit, like maybe take some time off from working out, because what'll happen is it's a stressor on your body and it might cause you to gain some fat. And I think that we've been told, our generation for sure, we've been told, oh, you can do anything when you're menstruating, like you have all the female hygiene ads, like all the little, like I remember in all those magazines like YM and all the teen, like they'd show a girl, she's like running and it's an ad for pads or whatever, she's so happy on her period, like we've just been told this. But for hundreds, thousands of years, feminine, like the culture for females was to slow down and take a time out. Like we knew to listen to our bodies back then, but the last 100 years, because we want so badly to do everything that men are doing, which, it's not like, I'm not saying that as an attack. Like, I think there are so many awesome things that women are doing right now. So I'm not getting all weird like that, but I'm just saying, like, mind your flow, like pay attention to what your body's telling you. And a lot of women, they crave chocolate when they're PMSing, during the luteal phase. Well, I think that there's a drop of magnesium during that time, and chocolate is packed with magnesium. So what your body's really telling you, is like, you need that chocolate because you need more magnesium. So it's okay to have the chocolate. But if we go against what our bodies are trying to do, that's when it will backfire and cause more of even the hormone fluctuations. And we've got the painful periods and we've got the out of whack cycles. Anyway, all that to say, it's just been that's a short summary, probably not short enough, but it's been interesting for me just to pay attention to and go, okay, I just switched to my luteal phase. That's why maybe I should just take a nap, or maybe I should just do some stretching today or whatever, it's important to be aware of that.
Well, I downloaded it, but ever since you started talking to me about it, I don't know, it was probably the beginning of the year, I think. So I've had this in my head for the last couple of months, and I've been just trying to be more conscious of it, because I'm not normally. I just am just like, oh, I'm really tired. I'm having a hard time getting things done today. I don't know what the deal is. And then some days it's like, oh, I can do everything. I can do 100 things today. And now trying to like put that together. Oh, well, that makes sense,
And it's cool because then you can be kinder to yourself too,
Absolutely. And not feel bad. Like, oh, I didn't get anything done today. I don't have any energy. What's my problem? What going through the Rolodex, what did I eat? What did I do wrong? And it's like, well, no, maybe it's just that wrong week of the month. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of freedom and a lot of hope in paying attention to that. So I think it was $1.99 to download
it's
the
like
app.
The best $1.99 app I ever spent.
Yeah.
And it's not, the book is more detailed on vegetables, but what I like about it's not a diet, it's just saying, what could you add in during this time? Not like cut out all this stuff, but like what could you be doing to nurture this part of your cycle, and I really like that aspect.
Yeah, it's good. I recommend it too. So what has been an unexpected joy during this time? What has been
unexpected joy?
What has surprised you?
I think one thing for me, and I kind of already talked about it, was digging into the word more. And really, like, that was part of my Lent anyways. Before I pick up my phone, I'm going to read my Bible, because if I pick up my phone, it's all over, like then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I checked my email. Oh no, I need to do that. Or I need to do, or I got caught up in some article on social or whatever it is. Right. Like I loved aligning my focus on God's word first. And so digging into that. And also I felt this, that piece that doesn't make sense that the Bible talks about. I've really felt that very strongly. I felt God's provision in a lot of ways. And that's the spiritual part, like for sure that has been good. And I want to take that with me, and I don't want to forget that. Like, that's something I don't want to leave behind. The other thing that surprised me, my 6-year-old man, he can kill me in a game of skip bow. He, like, we taught him skip bow, and I thought this might be a little advanced for him. I don't know. No, that boy is so fast. He tries to tell me what to do. So, it's like little thing. We've had some fun card games and just not that, staying home, not that need to, because I'm a go. We pack the activities in. We're always going from one place to the next, but enjoying all of these little things about my kids. Like my 3-year-old's hilarious. And I get to pick up on some of these subtleties that maybe I wouldn't before when we're just rushing around from one thing to the next. But playing games with my 6-year-old, I'm realizing how he can beat me at Skippo, things like that. So, what about you?
Yeah. So we did the bear hunt. Did you hear about this?
I don't know what
so you have everyone in your neighborhood. Well, not everyone participates, but you ask neighbors to put a stuffed bear or a picture of a bear in their window. And then when you walk around the neighborhood, you look for the bear and you count how many bears there are or whatever. And so it's funny, like I actually initiated it in our neighborhood. It was not an original idea, but I initiated it. And so people had said they were going to do it. And I had told my kids to put the bear in their window. And, I kind of mentioned it, but my 8-year-old was just like dead set on when are we going on the bear hunt? And I'm like, oh, well, I wasn't really doing it for me. I was kind of thinking about like the little kids and like, I didn't think you guys would care. But we did the bear hunt. It was really funny to see how interested and excited and energized he was by like the bear hunt. And we found 9 bears in our neighborhood and,
that's
kind of bears they were, that kind of thing. That was kind of fun. But, I think it's the together time has been good. I think our dinner conversations have been better, even though for the most part, our schedules are such that we do have dinner together. Well, there's one child that plays select soccer, so he's missing twice a week. But for the most part, we have dinner as a family 5 days a week where everyone is there. But I think just the slowness and there's no rush to get to anything. And then my husband and I have been going for walks every day. And so that's been good. It's something we used to do in the morning, but in the evening, like conversations maybe a little bit easier. And I don't know, we have more time. We're not as rushed. We're not thinking, both of us thinking in our heads, like what we have to do today. So that's been a nice time. Like I said, it's not that it's been all that abnormal aside from the pressure and the stress of food and the pressure and the stress of when is this going to be over? And what is this going to look like when it's over? And I think the next thing that I'm grieving right now is I think for the first maybe 2-3 weeks, I convinced myself this was just going to end and everything was going to go back to normal. And now the recognition is very much that there's not like normal's not going to look like normal. Like even if we go out, we might all be wearing masks. We both go to big churches. And so our churches might not look like we're used to them looking. There may have to be like limits on service sizes or what is that going to be? And so that I think is the next thing that I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm ready for what the new normal is.
Yeah.
It'll be
hard. No, that's another thing is what is this going to look like on the other side? What are the takeaways going to be? How is this what kind of a turning point is this going to be for us as a culture? And, am I going to hug people? And I'm not even a hugger. I am not a hugger, but at this point I'm like, I want to hug my friends, is this going to be okay? It's just a weird, and I don't want to live in fear. That's the other thing is I feel this heavy weight of fear everywhere. And I don't want to be enslaved to that. And I have to check myself on that, knowing that my king is on the throne, and he's not the president and he's not the health director and he's not all these other people that are having a say in what's happening. My king is on the throne and he's already, we know what's going to happen, And so I'm trying, that's where the whole truth of God's word, has been so grounding for me, because I will quickly go to worst case scenario. That's just where my head goes. And I can't do that, because anyway. So,
yeah, that's good. Well, as we kind of wrap things up today, I wanted to talk just for a minute about the fun we had with ReFOCUS. And we haven't really discussed this yet, but I think maybe we'll bring that back. We were going to bring it back in May, and I don't know if May's too soon or if May's the perfect time. I don't really know.
Yeah.
But what did you take away from our time in ReFOCUS? And actually, maybe Erin, do you want to just tell them what we did in ReFOCUS if someone isn't familiar with the program?
Well, the first go round was, wasn't it 12 days, the first one?
Yep,
And
in
the
January.
second go round was 14 days. And what I love about it is Heather starts with a scripture blast every day. And, it's funny talking to some of my friends who went through that program. That was a big takeaway for some of them. Like that was their favorite part. And I'm like, man, we put in so much information. It was just the Bible that you liked. I mean, come on. Like, what is that? But really, yeah. I mean, it was so good to start off with that. And going through, Heather went through the spiritual aspect of body image and body image idolatry, and trying to dig into some of these traps we have when it comes to that. And I went more into the health aspect of it, and being gentle with yourself, nutrition wise and movement wise. And we cover all the topics. We cover nutrition, we cover movement, we cover stress, we cover, I mean, we have a theme for everyday rest. We definitely go into rest, and we cover as much as I think we possibly can. So yeah, it was great. I still, I get messages from different people all the time who are in the group asking questions about certain things. And it's been good. It's been a great thing for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's been fun to see the interaction. So it's interesting. And I haven't told you this, but I'm doing my spring break free program on Facebook, and I decided to make it free because this is just a stressful time for a lot of people. But it's been interesting. There's not the kind of participation in that group as there has been in our ReFOCUS groups. And I think part of it is, when you charge for something, people are more invested. When it's free,
yeah, that's true.
you don't care as much to track along. But I mean, even though we didn't charge very much for our ReFOCUS program, I feel like people got so much out of it. I mean, the interaction that was on that page was rich, and the questions were deep and thoughtful. And then the responses, like from you and I, but also from other participants, like it was encouragement and just a real time, from what I've heard of people who participated, just a real time of digging into things that they hadn't stopped and been able to process or think through before. So I don't know. It's like, is this a good do we do it in May? Do we wait till June? I don't know. I mean, maybe we should talk about that when we're done here. But stay tuned. If you're watching or listening, look for ReFOCUS 2020. It'll be able to stay 2020 through the rest of the year. I guess next year we'll have to change that name, Erin. But our program was really just to help you refocus away from, like we talked about earlier, trying to do everything like everyone else, and just finding what works for you, refocusing on what's really important, which is really a holistic view of health, not just getting skinny, getting the body, getting the weight off, but holistically, are you spiritually healthy? Are you mentally, emotionally healthy? And, and then on top of that, how to be physically healthy, combined with all that in a way that's honoring to God. And so I think, we've had almost 100 women go through now. So we've got a great group that's gone through. And if that's something that's of interest to you, I hope you'll watch out for that. Well, Erin, thanks so much for the chat. I know now I wanted to mention this earlier and I forgot. How did your trivia night go? You want to tell everyone what you did? Because I think it's a great idea.
It was so random. We put out on, my husband and I, between the two of us, we probably have like 4,000 Facebook friends. And we just put out, because of ministry, not because we're super popular, but because of all the different churches we've been involved in and different connections that we've made. And I'm an extrovert, so I just want to friend everybody. But yeah, we put out like just this wide open invitation to our public Facebook, like, hey, who wants to join trivia night? We're going to do it through Zoom. Y'all join in and we'll have prizes, but you have to wear a costume. And so we need to do that again, actually, because when we first did it, we thought, this thing will be over within a few weeks. But it has been a lot longer than that. So it was really fun. We had a lot. I mean, it was so random. It kind of felt like a taste of heaven, like for all these people who would never actually meet in real life because of location or because of like, they would never participate, but yet here they were on this Zoom chat. And it was very fun and so ridiculous. Fun. And yeah, it was great.
So fun. Yeah, we're going to try that something similar just with our small group. But I thought that was a great idea when I saw it. And I totally meant to get on, although I didn't have a costume. But then time just, you know how it is.
Like an old uniform of Eric's. That would have been fun.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Or his helmet, actually, which I thought about wearing to the grocery store. And to give that context, my husband was a fighter pilot. So he has like this helmet with like the breathing things.
Oh my gosh.
Actually, that might not be a bad idea. Well, Well, Erin, thanks
Funny.
so much for being on the show today. And if you were
Thanks for having me.
listening or watching, thanks so much for being a part. And I hope that something in today's show has helped you stop comparing and start living. That's all for today. Bye-bye.